Hey everybody, Scott Lear here at Chord, and we are here in Nashville talking to Mr. Taylor Phillips. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. Good to see you.
Thank you, number one, for the digs of hanging out here. This place is awesome.
Bonus room. We use this here.
I love it. So we are here in Nashville. We love to bring everybody down to this area and bring singer, songwriter, whoever. You're an amazing songwriter. Give us a little bit what you've been working on here in the last little bit.
Man, thank you for the kind words. Been working on some Sam Grow stuff. It's my buddy, man. I know y'all from Maryland. My buddy Kane Brown got a song coming out on his new record that I'm stoked about. And I've just been working on a little bit of my own stuff. I feel like there's songs in my catalog that I've written that I believe in just as much as some of the other songs that I've had recorded. And I've questioned why those songs haven't been recorded or placed on an album by another artist. And started answering my own questions whenever I started recording my own songs, because I feel like they're my songs, and that I was a co-writer on these songs for a reason, because it's my life, and it's kind of time for me to step outside the box a little bit and go tell my own story.
I love that. And, you know, you mentioned a name that a lot of people know of, Kane Brown, and Pull It Off is a song that a lot of people will know if they don't know already. If they're true Kane Brown fans, and they are crazy, right? I mean, in a good way, they're crazy, but they know that song. So give us a little bit about the writing process of that too.
Man, Kane, oh, what a dude. Talk about a process. It's one of my best friends in Nashville, hands down. I wrote that song with a guy named Adam Doliak and a guy named Matt Roy. And when we wrote that song, it was right in the earlier stages of mine and Kane's friendship. And we were riding down the road one day, me and Kane, and he was like, "Man, play me some stuff, what you been working on?" And that was one of the songs we played, and it kind of stuck out in his head. And every time I was around him for the next couple of weeks, I would keep playing that song, and it just stuck like glue, man. And he called me one day and he said, "Hey, man, I think can you send me that song?" And I said, "Sure." And I sent it to him, and he played it for Jim Catino over at Sony. And next thing I know, he was playing it live, and I was getting videos sent to me, and that was really like what a guy, man, what a dude. And forever one of my longtime best friends, and always will be. Think the world of him. Nothing but good things to say about Kane, and I'm honored to be a part of such a project that is expanding exponentially faster than most people in country music. And what a deserving dude. You won't find anybody better.
And it just seems like out of nowhere is usually how that works. Just boom, overnight, something happens, it clicks. And it's cool you said that. Adam Doliak, we got to see him up at the Hamilton in D.C. and he opened up, and man, insane. I mean, as soon as he opened his mouth, it's like, okay, pay attention.
He's so ugly. I hope this makes the interview. He's such an ugly dude, can't sing. No, he's a pretty boy. No, he's one of my best friends as well, man. He is hands down one of the most talented singer-songwriters in this town, in my opinion, that I've had the chance to write with. And, man, what a career he has ahead of him, and I wish him nothing but the best as well. Great dude, man.
So we all want to know, you hit a point, you get into music, and you're like, I really want to do that. Where was that for you? How did you get yourself into wanting to, number one, write songs and then also start singing?
Well, you better have 100% on that battery on that camera over there, because my story is a lot different than anybody else's. And some people are fond of that, and some people point the finger at that, but either way, I mean, life is what it is, and I feel like everybody's dealt a hand. And just sometimes people are dealt cards that they don't really understand why they're put there, but you run across them, and that's something that you create as an artist or as a songwriter. When I moved to town, I was selling T-shirts. I wanted to do something in music. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I started selling T-shirts, went on the road with a guy named Ricky Young. What a guy. And gave me every chance here. I wrote my first song with Ricky. Ricky put it on his record. First song I ever wrote was put out on iTunes. I mean, it's unbelievable. What an opportunity. I went out and sold T-shirts, like I said, and it was just one of those things where I was like, man, I don't really know if this is the life I want to live. It wasn't nothing against somebody that sells T-shirts. It just wasn't for me. I wanted to be somebody that had the chance to tell their story one day, because, I mean, I've been through a lot, and just like everybody has, and I felt like I was going to be giving a platform to be able to one day tell my story, and why not take it and run with it, Hard work and chasing a dream. If you chase something long enough, I believe that you'll catch up to it, and I'm a firm believer in that. That's how, so I'm very honored and blessed in terms of the music industry.
I love it, and heartfelt, and that's what music's all about. I mean, it hits everybody in a certain way, so. Sure. Okay, so we got to get to something really, really cool here. Rust in peace.
Oh, man.
All right, let everybody know what's going on with this, because number one, is it not country music and one of the most clever play on words in the world, but just kind of explain that song, the whole deal to everybody, because that's something really, really cool here.
I was sitting in North Carolina. I just got done hanging up a deer stand. Hunting and fishing are two of my favorite things outside of writing music in my life. And just got done hanging a deer stand. I was driving back through my hometown, and I'm coming from a small town, Sanford, North Carolina, and things are changing there. I mean, rapidly. It's crazy. I never thought a Hobby Lobby would be in my hometown. I'm pretty sure it used to be a cornfield where they built it. I mean, it's crazy. And you see things like that, and you look at change, but then you notice amongst the change, there's some things that have stayed the same. There's some things that have been planted there for years after years after years, such as this truck that I drove by, and I saw it out in the middle of a cutter out underneath an old barn, and I just pulled over on the side of the road, and I was parting with my truck a couple of weeks later in the year, and it was time for me to get a new one, and I miss it. And I was like, man, somebody's probably made love in the back seat or on the bench seat in the back, whatever, in that truck bed, and they've hit a main street in the town. They've probably been stuck in the mud, and that was one of those things where I was like, man, like, it's crazy. It doesn't matter what truck it is or whose truck it is. If you write a song about a truck, which is sometimes frowned upon, but I feel like I did it in a way that it shouldn't be frowned upon because it's telling a story. It's really a goodbye letter to that truck, because it was there for me during, I mean, it really never broke down. And I mean, it did me well. And I saw that, and that title came about, and I called my buddy Matt Roy and my buddy Adam Doliak, and we sat down and wrote a version of it. And then we ran across this conflict. We didn't know if we had hit the hammer on the nail. So we're like, man, let's write it again. So Adam had Monty Criswell on a write coming up, and he had written songs for Eric Church, and Eric Church is a huge inspiration of mine. And we kind of just went and revisited it and ended up writing it from A to Z again. Same hook, different everywhere else. And I really feel like we hit it at home, man. It's been one of the most applauded songs in my career, hands down. And I'm honored to be able to record it, and for the people that have pushed me to step outside the box and to do it, I'm honored to be able to release this song that is such a true story for me, and it's such an honor.
That's so cool. And your hometown, and with Eric Church, North Carolina, right? I mean, that's a big deal. So what was it like for you growing up in NC? Where were you? What portion? Tell everybody where you grew up.
Sanford, North Carolina.
Okay.
That's home, man.
Yeah.
And Carolina is home, and Carolina will always be home. Tennessee is my vacation home.
There you go.
I feel like anybody can pack up and move, but you can't pull your roots out of the ground. And I go back there as often as I can to not only to go back and remember and relive some of the memories that I've made in that town, but to also not forget where I came from. And there's been people in that town that have been good to me. There's been people in that town that have been bad to me. Everybody, like I said, has been dealt a hand. But you know what? You take the good with the bad and you run with it. And I've got way more good memories there than I do bad. And my family's there, my friends. I mean, I couldn't be more proud to call that place home. Man, I wish I could pull a little bit of it to Tennessee. I probably wouldn't go back as often, but that's part of the game, man.
That's cool. That is really, really cool. So for you, and focusing a lot on doing the songwriting process, what is it like for you? Everybody does it in a different way, when you are like, hey, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do something. Do you sit down and you do it? Are you driving in the truck and it's that moment? Give everybody a little bit of how that works for you.
I feel like everybody has what you would call a hook book or an idea book, and I tend to call it a tackle box, But, you write down these ideas, these one-liners that you come up with that might lead to something, that could tell a story. And I'm such a strong critic when it comes to writing songs, to make sure that a hook is set in the way that it should be. Just like when you're fishing. If you don't set the hook right, the fish is going to get off the hook. If you don't write the hook right, the song's going to get off the hook. And if you can't write a song that in every line support it, then I feel like you've left a kink in the hose, man. And I am so strong about that. I've been honored and very lucky to write with a lot of people that I didn't deserve to be in the room with, and hats off to them for them giving me a chance. But I've learned so much. I go in there with 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, because you never know. The person beside you is just as smart as you, man. You never know. And when I write a song A to Z, I just hope for the best line every time, and I will fight a line. And if I start writing an idea and I come across a better idea, you can ask anybody that's ever written with me, I will immediately stop what I'm writing and go write the better idea, because there's no point in sitting there for no reason. And I feel like that's how some of the songs that I've written have came out the way that they have with the people that I've written them with, because we have fought. It's a we thing. It's not a me thing. I would never claim everything on a song unless I wrote it by myself. But even then, it wouldn't be good because you need somebody else's opinion. So it's a we thing.
Somebody was the reason for writing it, right?
It's a we thing. So I feel like if we in a room can come to the conclusion that that's the best line for that song and it supports everything that we're writing that story about, then I feel like we're doing the right thing. But all in all, true story is that if I haven't lived it and I don't believe in it, then I'm not going to write it. And because I feel like I'm going to miss the opportunity of telling the truth, and that's just not me, man.
I get it. Totally get it. So I'm going to ask you the hardest question I'm going to ask you tonight.
Here we go.
Favorite song on the radio right now would be Go.
Ooh.
Could be anything.
Man, I'm going to tell you the truth. It's crazy because I kind of know him. I'm going to go with Scotty McCreery, 5 More Minutes, man, because that's something I've lived. Everybody in this world has lived that. It doesn't matter if you listen to rap, pop, country, whatever, rock, metal, it doesn't matter. Everybody has done something in their life that they wish they had 5 more minutes on. And I get so caught up in people saying that this ain't country and that ain't country. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter, because the lyric content of that song in particular, Monty Criswell was a co-writer on that song, who happened to co-write Rust in Peace. So I'm definitely a huge fan of Monty. When I hear that song, man, it doesn't matter if it was my football game or if it was my grandpa. It could have been my uncle that passed away last year. Everybody has related to needing 5 more minutes in their life. And when you can do something like that and it hits everybody, I feel like you've conquered every bit of that song, man. And that's a hard thing to do. Ideas are hard to come by, and great ideas are even harder to come by. And great songs are the hardest. So hats off to those guys for writing.
Amen. And from the way it sounds, it's going to be #1 next week.
Man, I think it is. I didn't even know that, but
so we plugged that at a perfect time. That
there you
was
go.
Great. No, that was awesome. So I'll ask you a question I ask every single artist that I ever talk to, singer, songwriter, makeup artist, who we even did when it came to that. So yeah, right. So if B Chord's signature question, you're stranded on an island, you can take one instrument with you. It can be any instrument, can have any sentimental value. Tell us which instrument it would be, very particular, and if it's got any sentimental value to you.
Actually, there's 2 ways I can answer this question. One could be, can I make anything when I get there?
So this was funny because I interviewed a guy who actually makes guitars, Marty Macmillan, right? And he's like, do I have trees that I could do all this? And I'm like, yeah, you're stretching. But let's say it's something you have or it's something you could get. Let's put it that way.
Man, I'd probably say my mind.
There you go. I like that.
And I don't know if anybody's ever said that, because I feel like if you put your mind to anything long enough, you can figure out how to do anything. And by taking my mind to a stranded island, I'd probably figure out how to be unstranded.
Well, and see, for you, it would be a piece of paper and at least something you could write stuff down on.
Man,
right?
I'll tell you, that would be mine, man. If you ain't got a mind, you don't know how to play a guitar. So if I can take a mind as an instrument, that would be me.
I like it. That's the first time we've ever had that. So what I'll do is I'll give you a second here, give a platform, tell everybody where they can follow you at, what they can do, what they can find. But before that, so you mentioned about the song. Are you planning like a little EP? Are you planning anything coming out soon?
I think I am, man. There's a lot of songs. I guess what you can expect with me is a little bit left to center on the radio stuff. I mean, I feel like a lot of projects nowadays, they go down straight in the middle, but mine will definitely be the singer-songwriter songs, the stories that I've lived, the things that have gotten me through the obstacles of life that I've had to cross, jump over, swim through. I mean, that is me. And I would tell anybody that ever gets to see this, what I have coming is me. And you won't ever have to question, is that guy really that guy that goes and hunts, and was his uncle that, or any of this? Yeah, that's me. And if I put it out like that is the one thing that I'm trying to accomplish. For people that have never met me to turn on my EP that will be coming out and listen to it top to bottom and be able to say, man, I feel like I know that guy. Yep. And if I don't know him, I feel like I know where he's coming from. And that's all I wanted. That is my one goal.
And that's all you can ever ask. And I mean, it's fluky. We came down here, and I know he's over there, and we're not going to really call him out, but this all came together through one person who's a Maryland guy of mine, right? Yeah, I know him. But I have realized, and especially in this, field of music, it is a true friendship. And when you find people that are a good crew, and a good knit group, they work together and they look out for everybody, and that's so cool to be able to do something like this and pull it together and be able to do this. I was so stoked to be able to do it. So thank you. But before we end, tell everybody where they can find you.
TD Phillips 2 on Instagram and Twitter. That might change one day soon, but you can check it out there. And like I said, Rust in Peace will be coming out on March 9th. It will be available on all markets. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Give us all a follow at bcord615, www.bcord.net. Taylor, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Totally. Absolutely. Thank you all. We'll talk to you soon.